Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We were gone forever.
So it felt.
For the 9 followers that were following us.
That's
it might be
more,
12.
It's 10.
Oh, okay. So maybe we're in the double digits. I can get down to that. Well, welcome to the Love Happy Hour.
I know. That's what I have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's good. Good vibes. Get it, get it going. Make it rain. I don't know. That's what the kids say, or millennial kids, I guess.
Well, at least a couple of them. Hi. Okay, it's Kaylin Rosenberg, my producer, Mingo.
Yep.
Welcome to the Love Happy Hour. It has been a few weeks.
Yep.
We have not been on hiatus.
No, we've just been sick and, being human, I guess.
Sick of being human.
Yep.
Not sick of being human.
But just being sick as a human.
Right.
Flu, COVID, whatever.
We don't know, but it wasn't fun.
Yep. So it kind of derailed, a little bit of the flow. Because this has been 2 weeks.
I know, and we're like
almost
becoming
3 weeks.
Reacquainted with one another and the equipment.
Yeah, I feel like I almost forgot how to use it because this is, to be honest, this is our 4th attempt.
I know.
First time it was lagging, then I was like, oh, okay, I think I figured it out. And then I rebooted and started again, and then my battery died, and then...
I know. And the intro was embarrassingly, we were joking about what would I have to do to have a Mingo voice to be able to get that breathy...
Yeah, like this.
Right? And I said, yeah, I'm not so good.
She's got to run upstairs a few times and
get out really out of breath, and then I can do it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Brings the real deep man out of you.
Right.
Yep.
Super hot.
Yep.
Okay, well, hey everyone, how are you doing? How have you been? How are you navigating through life right now? What are you using as your center, your balance, your crutch, your stability with the crazy times that are happening, right? I mean, my goodness, we're all in this together. We're all watching the reality of our presidential, the race, right? The race of two opponents trying to convince us that they each have the way to
the truth, or
to the truth, and to heal our
to heal America,
make us great again, make us well again, make us, what's the other one?
I don't know.
Make us.
Does Kamala have one?
Yeah. What is
it's all Trump stuff. What does she say? I don't know. She barely talks to anybody, so I don't know.
I know that part I don't like. I know, and we just had we finally had the CNN interview the other night, and I think she spoke for I don't know how many. It was under half an hour.
It was like 15 minutes, maybe. Yeah, maybe it was like 20 minutes. It was pretty short, and it was pretty.
I wasn't
pretty generic, I guess. I don't know.
That bothered me.
Yeah.
I just want I want what's best, as we all do, right? I want what's best. I want who is best out of the two that we have. This is it. This is all we get to choose from. And so
I just wish that she would really speak.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the questions there were some good questions, but there was no follow up to some of the tough questions.
I don't like the avoiding crap.
Yeah,
just get real. I don't care. Let us judge for a second if we're judging. Yeah, but go ahead.
There was a lot of filler and
yep.
And then the one thing that was kind of weird to me too is the interviewer talked about previous views and how she's now changed the views, and she's like, yeah, well, I would just want everyone to know that this is how I feel now, but my values have not changed. So it's like, okay, then are you lying, or what does that mean? Like, you had different values, ideas back then with the same values, and now you have different ideas now about the same thing, but your values are the same. So, like, I don't know what that means.
Well, I think what it can mean, not to speak for her, what it can mean, out of all fairness, is that her values have not changed with whatever those values are, but the way that she sees them or is going to go about them may have shifted.
Yeah.
Right?
So maybe she's being honest in her ideas about things. Yeah, I don't know.
If she would have elaborated more on it.
Yeah, she doesn't do that, though.
No, I know. So we need more of that. Trump is thrilled to do that.
Oh, yeah. Trump's like all about just free speech, just off the cuff. Maybe Kamala's just not good at that, but I feel like if you really had, if you were really running for president with genuine intentions, not to say that she's not, but like, I feel like if you really knew what you wanted to do as president, you would have no issue speaking your mind. And I feel like I don't see her do that very often. And when she does, it's just a lot of fluff. sometimes. You know, she'll say things, not get super specific.
Well, what wasn't there like a cartoon or something, or a cartoon character, and his name was General Specific?
Majors, welcome to the Subcommittee on Sheep Capture, which, in order to facilitate the use of puns, is being held on a submarine.
Very good.
General Specific.
Private Public?
This is my dad, General Public.
Private Thoughts?
I'd rather not say, sir.
I've never seen that. No, I don't know.
It was years ago. I think it's like I have to find a way to give benefit of the doubt all the way around, because whoever we end up with, we're stuck with. And we might as well just send loving, good energy to that person, because again, we know how powerful energy is, as opposed to
That's
just
true.
like hating them and then forming a coup. Like, no, we really should, as adults, get behind whoever we can and just give it the best energy and the best chance to do the best we can. And really the rest is on us in humanity as people, right? We the people to be better, do better, and make the difference.
So it's kind of can be a scary situation, because in a sense of, say you do that innocently and give all of your good intentions to the person in control, whether it's Trump or Kamala, and their intentions are not the best intentions for the country or for the people, and then they just run it off the road or in the wrong direction, then like that's then you're kind of just like, well, I guess here we are. I thought I let you do it.
Right.
So thanks for driving me off a cliff. I don't know.
That could happen with both of them.
Yeah.
That's what's a little bit scary. So once again, that is why the show is so important. Each of us doing our own work and healing our own stuff is so important, because again, anything that we have in our world that is unstable or dysfunctional or painful, bringing pain, causing pain to our own lives or to one another, is all from unresolved stuff. And everything is in how we react to it, respond to it internally, emotionally, spiritually, toward each other. We have a lot of work to do, you guys. And so, this is all, it's a big deal. Man.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's also tough to know, like, both sides seem to make it sound pretty tragic if one side wins or the other one doesn't. So it's like,
that's not helpful.
Is it really that dire, or is it just like scare tactics to just win votes, or is it, like as an individual, I feel like you can full send and be like, oh my God, everything's
the sky is falling.
Or you can just be like, well, give them the hoorah and let them do what they do, and you just continue to be, like you said, just on like a local, personal, friend to fellow human level, just be kind. Just be a good person, just emit good vibes to people, because that's really all you can do. You can't like shake it out of some powerful person to like stop being stupid.
The hate judgment thing is not going to help anything. I'm not kidding. I don't care who is supposedly correct. Everyone thinks that they're right, and at a certain point it's sort of irrelevant, other than sticking to your values. But again, one of a major value system should be love. It should just be love and kindness and seeking to understand. But no, I love what you just said. And shoot, what was the thing you just said about how they're making it seem like if the other one wins, our world is coming to an end? That's not helpful. That's the thing. That's where neither of them are really coming from a higher adult self. It's not helpful to us, because as we talked about in our last podcast, it's sort of like we're sort of the kids in the home with the parents that are fighting. But yet we are looking to them to be our guide and to protect us and to set boundaries and to make things okay. And we can't have our parents pitting us against each other or against each of the other. So it really would be neat to see them each rise to a higher space to evolve and say, hey, here are my beliefs. This is what I'm going to do for you, country and people. But, and here's what I hope to bring or will bring. And yet if the other person wins, then I pray that they do as well, and I'll be in support of it. Like, don't worry, no matter what, no matter who you end up with, we're going to be okay. And we're not hearing that on either side.
No,
it's like the other is pure evil.
Yeah, and it's weird too, because it's hard to know. Like, I've heard a lot of talk about, if Kamala wins, that it could be the end of the country, because they make it sound like the border issue and like the economy problems and like money spending and doing all these other things. Like, I don't know how much of it's real, how much of it's genuinely happening, but the way they make it sound is if that continues, the country's going to deteriorate from the inside out due to infrastructure and like letting illegals in. And not to say all illegals are bad, but like he makes it sound like they're just they're dumping their criminals into our country and we're just getting overloaded. Yeah, so
I
like,
mean, that is happening.
So that's weird because like, what does that actually mean for America? Does that,
it's
is it
not
gonna,
fabulous.
So like, that's a little scary because I don't know, if Kamala doesn't think that that's an issue and she just is going to continue like they say she's going to, maybe that is a scary thing. But at the same time, like that's where it's hard because when it comes to those things, she's like flip-flopped on a lot of stuff. So it's hard to really know what her intentions are. I don't know what her intentions are. She hasn't talked very much, and
she does, but it's cryptic. That's what's kind of confusing. It's like it's clear, yet it's cryptic. So it's therefore confusing, and then it's based on each person's perception. Yeah,
and I feel like that's just like a fail-safe because that makes me wonder and feel like maybe there's an ulterior motive, and she's saying just enough what needs to be said to have a good interview or to say the right things. To do what she needs to do on camera, so they can continue just to do what they do. I know. It's bizarre that Trump is willing to go anywhere and everywhere, talk to anybody, even people that hate him.
Yeah,
and he'll talk to them.
Very much so.
And then you have the other side who like barely talks to anybody.
Yeah,
and it's like edited video. Yeah, well, it's weird.
Less is more.
That's true.
There's power and less is more.
That's true.
My husband tells me that all the time. Kaylin, less is more. Like a lot less.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So
we will find out.
Mm-hmm.
What was I going? I have to say, I was very disappointed. Naive. It shows how we still want to and deserve to be trusting of some form of our. Of our media, right? And I've been a part of the media and as an advisor and as an expert and in press locally, nationally, internationally, and you hear, obviously we've heard the term fake news forever.
Yep.
But I have to say, there was the quick kind of following and interviewing of Tim Walz while he was at the Minnesota State Fair.
Okay.
And here in Minnesota, you're watching the news, you see the full video, right?
Yep.
You see the entire experience of, hey, Governor Walz or so-and-so, what do you think of this? And so watching it live, you saw how he responded and what he said.
Yeah.
And then when I was watching it on Fox News, I'll go back and forth between CNN and Fox to just hear what each side is saying.
Sure.
To see who's really telling more of the truth.
Yep.
And where the games are. And so on Fox, they said, oh, yeah, even this is how, I'm ad-libbing a little bit, but, this is how ridiculous Walz is because he, we asked him, what do you think about the deaths of the hostages? And this was his horrific, horrible response. And they had him. So I saw it live, so I know how he responded. Now, I'm going to be honest. They could have actually used what he said, and I was disappointed with what he said. What he said to me was not strong enough or good enough as a mom, right? So his response was something to the effect of, so therefore he did respond to the question like, hey, Walz, what do you think of the hostages that just passed? And his response was something to the effect of, well, it's difficult for any parent to lose a child. And I'm like, whoa, that was freaking kind of removed. Like, this is more than a parent losing a child.
Sort of like a shuffled off kind of answer.
But instead, what they showed was, hey, Governor Walz, da-da-da-da-da. And then they showed, and this was his response. He had no response. And they showed him saying, goodbye, everyone, see you later.
Oh,
as if
weird.
He 100% ignored it. Yes.
Oh,
and I'm like, freaking no.
That's
like,
weird.
come on, let's get real. Let's tell that, like, even the truth.
Yeah.
What was really said was bad enough.
Yeah.
Like, so stop it, because now I don't know what else we're being manipulated with.
Yeah, well,
And they do it, and they did it with a couple of other things.
Yeah.
Or this was on Laura Ingraham.
Who's
and
that?
I kind of liked her.
Yeah.
So, and then they do the same thing on CNN. So we're being played against each other, you guys.
Yeah.
We really, really, really are. And I know there are people that are so dug in on both sides because I have dear friends and family members that are on polar opposite sides of myself or someone else in beliefs. And yet we still meet in the middle and we love each other. But, oh, man, we got to stop. We got to be careful. We just got to be careful. And we have to massively fact check.
It's tricky, and I feel like with
as much as with whatever we're being given to fact check.
Yeah, that's the hard part too. Is like, where do you get the facts?
Too.
Where do you check?
unless you're watching it live. That's where
That's
it's good.
true, unless you're there
like
in person.
I saw it live. Right.
Or like, yeah. So, well, and
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest issue. I don't even know if it's an issue. I think it's just like a technical limit. Because if you have the news, there's only so much time to tell the news. They're going to clip what they need to. And then the clipping and the editing is really due to like, it's whoever's in charge of what they want to show. So then you're sort of, it's being filtered through that person's vision in a sense of like what they want to show you.
True.
You know, and they might think they're
Creative
trying to give you the purest essence of it, or it's super jaded and they're just going to tell you, make it look like what they want it to look like. So that's where the fake news comes in. And then that's where I think people lose trust in media.
Yes.
And then you're like, well, then what do I trust?
Amen to that.
Which is even, well, which is even worse because then it's, then you're like, well, then how do I know? You know, like if you break that faculty in people's minds to be able to trust a source, you know, that's kind of a scary like society thing. Just on a basic level, I think there's, you know, like you're saying, you know, you can trust in God or you can find some sort of inner place where you can really silence yourself or zero out and then maybe follow some sort of intuition or like what it feels like. Maybe this is more correct. But even then, sometimes I feel like maybe it's a guessing game a little bit.
Sadly, we're put in that position. Yeah.
So it's
it being that.
It's a tricky one. I don't know. And nowadays too, when you have so much internet and like, you know, I think podcasts might save us a little bit because you have real content that's just straight and there's no, you know, there's very little editing if any, and it's long form content and people don't get clips. Well, I mean, I guess you can see clips, but if you go watch the thing, you get real straight up what people are and what they're saying.
That's what we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not editing. I mean,
and that's what all podcasts are. And the news
I think
is
that's why people like
the
them.
opposite because it's so.
You're getting something real, at least enough.
So
that's
I don't
what we're
know.
giving you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Glitches and all.
I don't even. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So it's a weird one. I don't know how people can. You know.
It's heartbreaking.
It's kind of a battle of, I don't know, good and evil, if you want to call it that. I guess.
It's 100%. That's what it is. Good and evil. Yeah. It's what side are you on? And everyone thinks that the other side is on the evil side.
I know. So in a weird way, everyone's good and everyone's evil. It just, you know.
Well, we all have that tendency, don't we?
Yeah.
But we do. It's what side do we want to be on and be part of? Yeah. That's the human dilemma. What else do we have going on, Mingo?
I mean, so like I said, we were both sick. I know for a fact that I had COVID because my little kid, who only 10 months old, somehow got COVID.
So he did have it. So he tested positive for it?
Absolutely, yeah. We went to the hospital.
Still a darn thing.
It was stupid. This poor kid. I was worried that maybe he got some, you know, some other weird kid thing that you get when they're little. And
a lot of stuff.
They took blood, and this poor kid too. Took him 3 tries to draw blood. They did both his hands, and then they had to get like an ultrasound for his arm to get it.
Oh man!
And they had to do a catheter, and like this poor dude was just getting the whole
sweetheart.
He did really well. It was terrible, but he did really well, and then all of it came back, and all it was COVID.
Okay. Why didn't they just do the freaking swab?
Well, they did, and they're like, "Well, he's got COVID, but we're going to make sure it's not something else." I'm like,
okay.
All right.
Well, I mean, I guess I respect that.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably good.
Let's rule stuff out.
I guess I would do that just because, like I said, I don't know, you know, I don't want to have him have something else along with COVID, and then it like super messes him up.
That's right. Okay, good.
So thankfully it was just COVID, and honestly, he had like one rough day, maybe 2 days, and then he was fine. And then I got it, and then my wife got it. So like we did the whole gamut. It was.
Then I got it.
Yep. Yeah. So. Man.
I know, it was weird. Or I had something. Or I had it and it was light and I fought it, but it was weird. I mean, I've had COVID twice, and once almost truly took me out, like off the planet. The second time.
Yeah, the first time was intense.
Man, that was so bad.
It was like 4 or 5 days of just extreme body aches.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to downplay your suffering. I'm like 4 or 5 days. I'm like, mine was 28 days.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I had fatigue for a couple weeks after that, but like the body pain was.
I'm just kidding. You can. I'm sorry. I'm going to honor your body pain and suffering. No, it's real. No, that was it's bizarre.
It's weird.
It's
a weird
bizarre. Yeah, it was icky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I made it through. I'm here.
That's good. Me too.
Yes, we're here. We're here.
So I mean, if we're talking about COVID, I mean, we can talk about how it affected people because it's still. I mean, I don't know if it's much of a thing now, but
oh man,
when it was, I mean, especially when we shut down too, like you know, like on a business level, like I know there's I don't know how many small businesses got destroyed
I know.
during that, which is kind of a sad thing because there's even like some cool food shops and like little restaurants and little cool joints you could just go to that just don't exist. And they probably won't anymore because they went bankrupt. You know.
It's it's like with all things, it's there's always a yin and a yang. There's a balance. There's a bittersweet. So while yes, what you're saying is true, and it's really hard, and it's really really unfortunate, there were also many people that had really struggling businesses, suffering businesses that ended up doing extraordinarily well because of it. There are amazing influencers that came from COVID and during COVID, and like Dr. LaPera, the holistic psychologist, and a lot of really cool podcasts and people that
podcasts definitely went crazy.
Yeah, people that found their voice, and we all found that they had a voice that was something important for us to listen to and to think about and to learn from. So. Yeah, man, but you're right. But it has absolutely changed humanity. People are it's pre-COVID, post-COVID. We're not.
I mean, it was a big turning point. There was a definite change in like time, like Earth stuff.
It's changed on so many levels. It really, really has.
And I feel like on like a higher level. I don't know if this is true, but my feeling on the matter is that I feel like the world was going at a pace that it needed, that it was maybe going to crash.
Yeah, there you go.
And then somehow, there's a lot of conspiracy about like the big companies were just trying to shut down the economy and control things and do a bunch of other stuff, which is maybe an element of it. But even if that is the case, on a higher level, maybe the world just needed to stop. And everyone needed to take a breath and then look at themselves.
Yeah, we needed to slow down. We needed to stop. I remember doing a lot of press pre-COVID, and the focus was always about the fact that we are so like connected to this, that we are more connected to our device than to one another, and that we're really missing each other, meaning missing like literally like ships passing constantly in the night. And it's not like that's not still happening. It's just different. I think that it again shut us down, made us turn primarily within or go within, and then it started to really wake us up and make us or allow us to see things in a way we never could have if it hadn't happened. So again, the yin and the yang with all things. It's finding the truth of the silver lining, even when it's really, really difficult. What is the bigger picture? What is the teacher in this? How can we become better ourselves and as one, right?
So then how do you think, in that respect, like you're talking about people being in their phones and sort of passing by each other, sort of being disconnected and being in person? Like, do you think there's an element that maybe being locked up and locked down affected that in a good way? Do you think people feel more willing to interact with people, or do you think, like, I don't know if that made a change or not in a good way, or if people were like ready to get back out there and like, we're free, and then they kind of just went back into their old habits and,
Well, I mean, okay. So what I have found as a coach, as a relationship expert, matchmaker, regardless or depending on what I'm doing in a client's life or a human's life, what I saw and what I see is that yes, once life started to open up and we were able to go out, right? We could go out and about and in society. We are far more cautious than we've ever been. We are far less trusting than we've ever been for so many different reasons. And again, this presidential campaign does not help in the way it's being managed and handled on both sides. We are far more self-protective, seeking to understand and know and protect our own value and honor our value. We have... and you can gauge as to whether you think these things are whether they're positive or negative, because it's different for everyone in perception. We have absolutely forgotten how to communicate with each other. This is where it gets weird in sad dating. Where prior to COVID, everyone's online and they're all meeting each other because it's easy and everyone's busy and it's just kind of the thing that everyone does. Well, now it's And there were issues before, issues with whether or not someone's truly who or what they say they are, the catfish thing, the fraud thing, somebody's married but they're saying they're single, whatever it is. But now people, like they're communicating in somewhat of an okay manner or fashion through text, through whatever. Technology, but the minute they're in person, face to face, in real life, they're like deer in headlights. They're super quick to judge. One person does one thing to turn them off. They're like running the other direction, or out of fear of being alone, they're actually being too fast to forgive, not curious enough. So it has really discombobulated how humans are communicating, interacting with one another, period, but especially in if you're single, dating. It's a mess. It's a mess. So hence matchmaking is making a huge comeback again. Not that it's ever left, it hasn't, but a big, big comeback because singles are now hiring matchmakers and depending on them.
To rekindle their social
Well, not
structure.
even. No, to just do all the work for them in a different way than before. But even almost wanting them to create the relationship for them, which is really strange, and I will have no part in.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of bizarre.
COVID has not been good for us and for singles in that sense.
Yeah.
So that's why all the self-help stuff is so huge on on TikTok and Instagram
Sure.
and YouTube, and all the podcasters are doing so well, is that people are like, something's feeling really weird enough and I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
And now they're honing in on all of that to do things differently and better.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like as social
Which
animals.
that's the good side of it. Go ahead.
Yeah. I feel like as social animals too, it's it's I think on some level, maybe on a spiritual level, it's maybe good to have time alone. In a way to detox from external, input, but I feel like the time that we were shut down is probably too long. I don't, 3 to 6 months of just being stuck in your house and only being allowed to go out to get food or something.
And barely even that.
And then not, social distance,
Can't
don't
travel.
talk to anybody, cover up your face, be a weirdo.
Yeah.
Everyone's awkward. You can't shake hands you can't be polite to anybody because being polite means you might kill somebody because you got COVID or,
right. Yeah.
So that idea on one hand was maybe with good intentions, but
for sure.
It's interesting how it's, it can, I think maybe people lost a little bit of that muscle of their ability to social interact and just be cordial human beings and just be, we're social animals.
Yes, we are.
More so than most. I mean, so I think it's such a critical thing, almost to the point where if you're not social, you might just die sooner because it's.
Well, there's studies on that.
Yeah.
So if you're married, even if you're unhappily married, they say you live longer.
Yep.
And you're healthier.
So it's weird and kind of a little scary that we were sort of denied that for a while.
Yes, I agree.
And then people now having to go back out, they're almost afraid or don't know how to.
Yes.
So losing that element of your almost basic instinct. That's a weird.
You're so right. Yeah, it really, really took away. I think honestly started to dissolve the basic, like you said, the basic instinct, and we're trying to get that back. But I think people
it's
again are
working
starving
eventually.
for it.
But
I agree, and I think I really think in the end we'll be better. I really, really do. I think it's kind of that.
It's like a wound that's
pendulum
healing,
thing.
Sort of.
Yes. It's the pendulum, right? It's swinging from side to side. It needs to go to each extreme to feel each side of that, of the pain point and the joy, and then land somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. I think we're slowly heading towards center.
Starting to get back to normal. Yeah. So that's well, and in that sense too, what do you think? People's ability. I know you mentioned people's ability to trust other people. How do you think that affected? Do you think that's a
people? Again, we're starving in the area of trust.
Yeah,
being able to.
Well, especially when we're talking about with the presidents and media and stuff like that. I don't even know where do you look to find a real source of honesty and
what's true, what's real, who's being honest.
And it almost feels to me, the people that speak out against these big companies, I'm almost inclined to believe those people because they're almost like warriors in a sense of the big big media, big this, and then they get canceled and attacked and
I
all these
know.
things like, oh,
I know.
so maybe they're really talking the truth and these big companies are actually trying to shut them up and it's not working because
Some of them are.
because podcasts are here and there's a lot of free speech that's
Yep.
being allowed to happen
Yep.
because of Elon owning things in other places. And like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people are starting to recognize that there's a lot of stifling going on in terms of what people can say, and we
Right, the
didn't
free speech.
realize it, you know, and now
Oh,
we do
yeah.
because people are talking out and
Yes.
sort of like rebelling, and
Which
it's
I
like,
love.
oh,
Yeah,
you know,
I
so
think it's
maybe
okay.
no, I think it's great. I
Yeah.
think we need to have this
Yeah.
open discourse of like extremes,
Yes.
and we've been so groomed to like you know, act a certain way as society, and like, oh, we're Americans, that's what we believe and that's how it is. But now that there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and the fact that they're like, well, this is, you know, they actually did silence a bunch of people and there's a bunch of stuff that was going on that we should maybe consider, even if it's like
Right, it's
wild
okay.
stuff.
Yep.
I feel like it's better
Yeah.
to have that, because then you can sort of,
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like it helps your social animal to discern things,
I agree.
to have all those things out there.
I agree. I
Yeah.
think it's okay, and I think that is giving us respect as adults. We're not all in our highest adult self all the time,
Nope.
or even half the time, oftentimes.
Yep.
But like you said, give us enough respect to just give us the freaking truth.
Yeah.
As difficult and different opinions of truth, but just something, not created crap and made up stuff, so that we can decipher what is right for us, what feels good for us, what we believe in, what we don't want to be part of or we do want to be part of. That's also how we discover more of ourselves, more of our value system, more the truth of one another. And like I always say, like the being curious, like seeking to understand, because there is always a beautiful teacher and a healer. Even deep, deep, deep behind a lot that seems really dark and scary and ugly, there's a beautiful teacher and ability to heal, or opportunity to heal. And that's what I seek and help people seek and find when working with my clients. Yeah.
So do you think there's a truth to, you know, there's a lot of people that think that some of the powers that be, or if there's like a deep state, you know, like, do you think these potential entities or like groups of people don't want you to consider yourself, and they want to stifle some of these ideas so that way you
for sure.
don't consider these things?
For sure, of course.
So that's gross then, because then how,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's where we're at this
Yeah.
weird spot where we can't trust people, because we're like, oh,
That's
they've
right.
been lying to us.
That's right.
And they've been shoving all these other facts away that are real.
That's right.
That have been now proven to be, you know, like actually real. And it's, so you're like, oh, so then it's almost like you're kind of been jaded a little bit, you know.
Oh, yeah,
and,
very much.
and maybe that's another element of, you know, if the powers that be were trying to use COVID as a form of control, I think it backfired. Because suddenly podcasters and people are like, well, this is a bunch of BS. I don't care. You can destroy me. I'm going to go say the truth. And they go up there and they just preach it. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, shut up. Don't say that. And they try and
Right,
shut them down.
cancel
And
you, yeah.
so now there's, and people can't be canceled. It's almost like the internet won't allow it. Like there's too many avenues where you can like put out stuff and not get canceled. It's like, oh, well, I think it backfired. It like,
Well, I think
I don't know.
I think spiritually you're very on the right track. People are canceled all the time. You can be canceled. You can have things
Yeah.
deleted and removed.
well, even the Twitter files, when that came out, they showed that the government would just, they were just shutting down stuff that the government didn't want and filtering in things that they wanted. And it was
Yeah.
like, it was very obvious that that's what they were doing.
Well, here's what's tough about all of that. So again, pendulum and and seeking to understand. Sometimes there are things that are happening and real behind the scenes that sometimes it's not always necessary or
Yeah.
in our best interest or of our best interest to know. Sometimes we
Okay.
are actually being protected from things, or even things that are that could harm us later. And
Yeah.
so it's like sometimes going back to less is more.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's actually for the greater good. It's
Sure.
like as a parent, you're not going as a good parent, you're not going to sit your little kid down in front of a porn.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all
exactly.
honest and real. That's happening. That stuff's going
Sure.
on.
Yep.
So, but it doesn't mean you plop your kid in front of it. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean they need to know about it, hear it, or see it. Right? So I'm going to remove that.
Yeah.
And the kid could be like, well, wait a minute. I heard this stuff's going on. I want to see it. Like, why haven't you shown me? What are you
Yeah.
hiding? Well, it's not. I'm not hiding. I'm protecting.
Yeah.
But it's to what degree?
Yeah.
To what extent? And how much are you trusting us,
Yeah.
right? And allowing us to make our own decisions. And there are a lot of power plays going on. Again,
Yeah.
if you're spiritual and you believe in good and evil, whether you're, religious or whatever your beliefs are, there's light, there's dark, there's spiritual, there's karmic stuff going on, there are power plays that are happening, there's money stuff happening, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
And so again, that's why, regardless, it's so important for us to find our space and to get to our center, and to find the true peace in that center.
Yeah.
And then along with the people that we surround ourselves with. That's so incredibly huge,
Yeah.
right? The diet that we consume is not just what we are eating, which again, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
That's a whole other
Yeah.
conversation.
Yep.
Where like, dang, food companies and pharmaceutical companies, like, we love you and you do so much that's good for us, and you also do a freaking lot that hurt us.
I think it's
for
weird
the
because
sake
I
of
think
money
you.
and power, and that's not cool. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But hold on. But at the same time, the diet isn't, as I've talked about before, I'm going to keep saying it, the diet of what we ingest is not just food. It's mentally, what are we ingesting? And
That's
digesting.
a tough one, 'cause a lot of people aren't-
spiritually,
yeah.
verbally, right? Friendships, people, all of that. And that,
Yep.
you know what? We are the only ones responsible for that. That's on us. If there's something
Yeah.
going on in your life that you don't love, my dear, that is on you. If you're an adult, and again, you can send hate my way and go, hey, that's not cool, you don't understand. I bet you there's probably most everything you're going through, I've been through at one point. If not, regardless, challenge me, it's okay. Like, let's talk it through. We can even do it live. But, ultimately, once we are in a space of being an adult, it's on us to figure out what's not working and not feeling good in our lives, and to fix it, because we can, or we can figure out a way, or we can turn to one another and be there for each other too. So, yeah.
I think there's a.
I'm gonna have a little sip of my tequila first.
Oh, okay.
Ting.
Yeah, ting.
Ting. You want to have this little?
I think there's an element to what you were talking about, how, we really have control of our mind situation and like what we're digesting via that avenue. And I think there's a culture right now of like victimhood and people claiming,
Bad.
claiming that some
sad.
other person's view about them has dominance over their self identity or their experience of their own self.
Yeah.
Which is, I get it, because if you're in that and you believe it, then that's
Right.
true. Then
There you go.
you are
Yeah.
dominated.
Yeah. Yes.
But
yes.
it kind of bums me out, and it's upsetting, and makes me sad, because it's like, if you would just not believe that, then you could be free.
Yeah,
and it
man.
also makes me upset because I'm like, why are you being such a bitch about it? Like, just like own yourself. Like, you're going to give all of
fear.
it to that person.
Fear.
You're just going to give them all of your energy and be like, they make me feel this way. They're making me feel like it's.
Yeah, but that's real
You
for
could
them.
be so, I know, and that's what's crazy, is it's so real to them, to where they've
Yes, it is.
they worship it, and it's like, wow.
Well, it has a hold on them. It's almost like a spell.
Yeah.
They don't worship it.
Yeah.
But it is an addictive. It really, it's an addictive nature. It actually affects your brain chemistry. It becomes an addiction in the brain. You're
Okay.
even, in the neurochemistry.
So I can see what you're saying about that. Yeah.
Yep. And so that's why we, even like anxiety or workaholism, I mean, literally. So seeking to understand, seeking compassion, but calling things out and straight. So I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, but it's kind of like, okay, what happened in their life and what is happening in their life to land them in this space? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not meaning to sound like I'm lacking compassion when I say, hey, if you don't like your life, freaking fix it.
I don't mean to call them a bitch
I'm
either,
trying to
because they're not.
empower
They're just, they're
acting bitchy.
yeah, like it's,
Or,
it's a
or
weak form of self, of just, you can re-own your energy by not giving it to the people who you claim to hate you. Like, it's,
Oh man, I know,
know?
and that's what we want to teach. That's
Yeah.
what we want to teach. It's what we teach, and we want to be careful too. Like, even when you're saying bitchy, there are a lot of people like feminists and stuff that are going to
Yeah.
say, "Hey, that's not cool. What was Mingo just doing?" Like, okay, was
Yeah.
that okay? Well,
Yeah.
you can be bitchy or a bitch, or you can be an a-hole or an asshole.
and a dude
it's
can
male,
be that way
female.
too. Like,
a male. I mean,
dude,
male, female.
a full-on straight dude can be a bitch. Like,
Humans.
if
Yeah.
you're just being bitchy, like
Yeah.
it's don't, like it's a...
But it's a discomfort, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
whatever is coming out ugly is coming from a pain point inside.
Okay, sure.
And that's what few of us have the opportunity to see because
Yeah.
we quickly go to ego, to self-protection mode, we go to judgment, and we react,
Yeah.
which keeps it spiraling and going. It
Okay.
feeds it like gasoline
Well,
instead
it's
of
like an addiction too. It's a habit.
on both sides,
Yeah.
right? So instead of reacting that way in judgment and in criticism and or being offended, if somebody's doing something
Yeah.
that you're just like, oh wow, that I am always teaching my clients, and I do this in my own life. If something comes at you from someone and it feels really painful, really confusing, really uncomfortable, not true, not right, sit back and don't take it. Don't like breathe it in and breathe it through your body. That's what most people do. Instead,
Yeah.
close and let it boomerang off of you and just watch it. Watch the
Yeah.
behavior. And again, seek to see, is there any truth to what they're saying? Might be something, might be a teacher for me to grow and become bigger, better self. Or what pain is this person in? Not in a like, oh, what pain are they in? Like, what's going on inside of them? What are they afraid of? Am I reminding them of something that creates fear or that feels offensive or threatening or like, it's like we could take so much of what's uncomfortable in this life and the way we communicate with one another and turn it into a really interesting, fun dance. Like a dance of, not a game dance, a dance like, okay, cool, so that's your move. Okay, I get it. It's a wonky move. I don't know that I can follow the move. I might trip. But at the same time, I want to understand it because I want to dance with you in life. I want to be present with you. I want you to feel safe. That I want this to be a good interaction. How can we be here for one another? So I really want to understand you. You're really angry at me right now? Okay, cool. I want to understand why you're angry at me. I mean, most of us are like, and they don't even have a chance to find out what it really was.
Yeah, well,
like what it really, really was. Not the surface of what it was. Well, I'm mad because you said this or you did this. Well, maybe we could possibly stay right there and fix that. Or how many layers deep behind that, right? How deep does it go?
Yeah.
As to what this disgruntled energy is really, really about. Defensive or offensive energy. What is it about? Let's get to the heart of it. Let's fix it.
Yeah. It's like people are breathing in
life is cool.
the projections of other people.
Constantly.
And then they own them.
Constantly.
And a part of me wonders too, like...
They deflect them back.
Well, that too, and like... some of it seems like I think both sides just like the arguing, which is funny because if they stopped arguing, maybe they'd be really good friends.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they like actually would get along really well because they both like the same shit.
Oh, totally.
But they're just like, yeah, I'm going to argue you. And even some people, like, I've noticed that they'll even say like, whatever will win me this argument is what I need to say. It's like, okay, so then you're not really believing in anything. You just want to win arguments. It's like, okay, well.
And then that goes deeper. It's like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, it's connected to an insecurity, into a
Sure.
fear.
Okay.
Right? So all these people that seem so tough and strong and bullies and they're going to just control you, it's really connected. People that are really confident and secure and at peace, they don't fight.
Yeah,
They don't
that's
fight.
true. That's very true because they don't need to.
No, they don't
They
fight.
know
They don't
where they're at.
criticize.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just don't.
Yeah, that's
So when people
super
are,
true.
they're not happy in them. It's like, okay, what's up with that?
Like, what are you defending?
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yep.
And we all have the right to defend whatever we think we need to defend, but what is it about? Is it
Yeah.
how important is it?
Yeah.
Maybe it is important. Maybe it's part of claiming and setting boundaries. I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah. But yeah,
We're
when
too
people
freaking
just,
hard on each other.
No.
We really, I mean, that's why the whole narcissism
Well,
thing
so
again.
that too, maybe that's, I think maybe people are too hard on each other because internally, I think maybe a lot of people are really hard on themselves.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So, and I think, that's, it's really just you projecting your own self-hate onto other
there
people.
you go. There you go.
And then they're like, yeah, well, I hate me too, so hate you, like.
There you go. That's
people
completely
feed
right.
And it's just feeding its own energy into its own thing. And
yes. Mingo, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And actually, that is what, why do I have such a hard time with Kamala? I had actually a friend reach out. She's so cute. She DM'd me and she said, Kaylin, it is pronounced ... She gave me all of that. And I should go back and just find it. She's like, I think she was like Kamala.
Kamala, I mean, I feel like
Not
if...
Kamala.
Who knows?
Oh, let's just hope that it's just president.
Everyone
She's
knows.
good.
Everyone knows what you're saying when you say it, so...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was I saying, though? How did we get to her?
I was talking...
Oh, no, just about with the presidents, though. That's
okay.
what they're doing with each other.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop
Yeah.
it. You saw my last 2 posts. I just said hug it out. I put a little
Yep.
description, a little cartoon. I showed you guys Trump, Kamala. I showed you guys Harris. I showed you how to do this. It's easy. Just wrap your arms around each other, hug it out.
See, and I feel like in
Help
their
us
situation,
become a better, happier, more connected, balanced country, please.
I feel like in their situation too, it's way more complex because it's not just Trump
Oh, you're so right.
and it's not just Kamala.
There's
it's
so much behind the
it's
scenes.
them, and then all of their like
on both sides.
webbing connections to like the
Yep.
people
Yep.
and the
Yep.
whoever supports them and all the businesses they're in with
Yep.
and all the country connections. Like I have no idea. It's probably insane being them.
You're right.
You know, but
Yep.
you know, on a simple level, it is just that. But then you have all these other external influences that are also going to sort of pull at their strings and like, okay, well, you know, that's where I feel like it would be just awesome to have someone who is 100% honorable, will just do the right
Amen.
thing regardless of what they say or, you know, this person says or this, they're going to try and blackmail me for that, you know,
Yeah.
like, then blackmail me.
I think we're
I'm
going to
gonna-
go there. I think
Yeah.
we're getting there. I think, like you said earlier, in the end, this will truly all come full circle. And I think,
Yeah.
honestly, I think we're going to be okay. I really do. It does not feel that way. It might be really, really hard for a while longer. But something.
Yeah, maybe it's gotta
there's
go a
something
little-
brewing. It has to get. It has. Yeah.
I mean, COVID definitely did something. It planted some sort of seed.
It did.
It definitely, like, we did like a 180 or like a 90 degree somewhere, and like the boat's going in a very different direction.
You're right.
So, and
Hey,
it's
I'm
really
okay.
hard to know like what, you know, what that direction is. And, you know, on a collective level, I don't think anybody really knows, but I think that there's something going on. And I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I don't think we're going to like impending doom and we're going to get bombed by crazy people. Like, I just, you know, I want to believe that that's not going to happen.
I hear you, and I think that part of that is, you know, it's that convenience of being naive.
Yeah.
Like, why would it be okay everywhere else in the world where there's war right now and people are being bombed?
I mean,
and
it's
dying,
definitely,
and yet it shouldn't or wouldn't happen here. That's where we have to be really mindful. It's more so, where are we at with ourselves and with our lives and with one another, that if all of a sudden we were at war, if our country was being bombed, if the cities that we're in all of a sudden were under full attack, how do we manage? How do we cope as humans? Like, how do we then band together then? Is that what brings us together? Do we just
Boy.
not care anymore if you're a Democrat or Republican, and we just want to love on each other and protect each other and protect each other's kids? I mean, I honestly have to say, I think that if that happened, all the crap of whoever you're voting for or you believe in right now, or whatever side of the frickin' aisle you're on, I do think as humans in general, we are really lovely, good people, and we would all honestly create our own harmony and come together. We wouldn't care anymore because we would just be fighting for survival, and we are always better and stronger together, and that's what we have to remember. You know? But yeah,
I think
it could
America
happen.
would have a hard time with that.
Well, I
Because
want to believe in
America's
us
always
better, or
been like, you know, we're just in terms of like other world stuff, like we've never had to deal with, you know, other than like the World Trade Center happening, you know, like we've never had to have countries get, or like cities get just completely obliterated,
Yeah, right.
and people living on like, you know, rubble and like,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right.
continually getting bombed. Like it was never. So like I feel like America would really struggle with that because the American politics in terms of like other suffering that's happening in other countries it is literally first world problems. Like we're just like,
You're right.
oh, my feelings are hurt. Okay, well,
Yeah.
did your kid get
There you
bombed
go.
yesterday? Like, no, it didn't. You're
There
probably
you
gonna
go.
be okay. Like
Amen.
it's
There you go.
like
It's true.
reality check. Like it's not that bad. Like, you know, and maybe, you know, like having that situation happen in America would make people wake up. You know, I think you
Oh,
would
man,
still.
yes.
I think you would still have some weird people. There's going to be, you know, people are humans, so there's a survival instinct in there where people might
Oh, yeah.
band together, but they might also push away because their survival instinct is So I don't know. It'd be a weird thing. You know, that's a weird apocalyptic idea. That's, you know, scary to think about. But
Yeah, we see it in the movies.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't think zombies are happening over in the countries that
No,
are at war
definitely
right now,
not.
but too much dying, too much
Yep.
death.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's a tricky one, and you know,
Yeah.
I just, you know,
We just need to send a lot of love, a lot
of love,
a lot
yeah.
of energy, a lot of
just,
what can we do to change this?
and not even like cheesy, like, oh, it'll never happen. No, just believe in it.
There
It's
you go.
more like,
good.
know that terrible
free
shit
will.
can happen.
That's right.
And you still need to be kind and,
Mentally.
be honorable and be
mentally,
almost
spiritually prepared.
Yeah.
Which I know
that's a tough one.
Interesting and surface level, and yet it's not.
Yeah.
This is a heavier podcast.
I know. Well, maybe we can lighten it up because I know.
Do we have? I think you said
we had a few listener questions,
Did
so
we?
we can do a
those.
real
Okay.
hardcore 180 here.
Okay, let's see. Depends on what the questions are.
Yeah, let's find out. Let's see. The first one says, we don't have any names, so these are all anonymous.
Okay, we don't know male or female? Oh, clearly.
Nope.
Okay.
First one
Not
says,
that it matters.
if patience is a virtue, is it virtuous to stay patient while a partner gives the silent treatment?
Yes.
Virtuous to stay,
Patient.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because-
I guess.
Yeah. Because
I mean, yeah, why wouldn't it be, I guess?
if they're giving you the silent treatment, they're doing it for a reason, and one of many reasons. And it's a way for them to process whatever it is whatever grievance they have within, that has nothing to do with you, that has everything to do with you. So, out of loving them, give them their space to figure that out. Again, don't get offended. Don't personalize it. Don't attack them for it. Don't judge them for it. Let them have it. Now, it depends on how long that silent treatment lasts, because there are many people that will take that silent treatment and they will use it as a way to be in an unhealthy form of control and manipulation and power over. And that's up to you to decide whether or not you want to give them that power, whether they're doing it for that reason or purpose or not. But at a certain point, maybe, you can even give people up to a day. You can even give them up to 24 hours. Do your thing. Still be kind to them. Don't, make jabs and comments. And then after about 24 hours, maybe come to them and say, hey, I realize that you are clearly needing to take a break and some space, and you must be processing. But hey, we're in a relationship together, and all relationships need communication so we can understand each other and we can figure the stuff out that's causing pain. And so I'm kind of saying now is probably close to a really good time to be able to talk these things through. And hopefully that person is adult enough and they've processed enough without you intervening and messing it up with more bad energy and toxic jabs mentally or verbally. Just let them have their space. Hopefully they'll say, you know what, yeah, you're right. Thanks for giving me the space and the time. Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what I'm processing, and let's talk. Or they might continue it and be like, oh, no, I'm not giving my power away. I'm going to keep this going for a week. I'm going to not talk to you for a month.
Oh, I think that's funny because that's how I see it. Like when they give you this silent treatment, that's just a form of power. It's like, well, I'm gonna ignore you so I can have the upper hand.
It is.
Which is such a cheesy high school.
Well, it's false power.
Yeah.
But they believe it's a power, right?
Yep.
And if you give them that power and they see that it affects you,
well,
that's on you.
Then they win. Yep.
But they don't win. They're still losing because they think they're winning, but they're losing because
Sure.
they're not in a higher place.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah,
in an
that's so
adult
true.
place. So, but if they do that, then it's on you to just say, hey, you know what? I'm not cool with this and this kind of in the relationship that I want for this to just continue. So if you're going to continue this not talking to me, then I'm going to take some. It's not tit for tat. It's then I'm going to take some space too to really
Just be
evaluate,
honest with yourself,
reevaluate this relationship because this isn't the kind of partner I want. I love you. I want better for us. We can do better than this, and I need you to meet me at least halfway. And honestly, sometimes they aren't willing to, and they're not able to, and you have to decide: is this a relationship you want to put on pause? You want to get out of? That's okay. Don't be afraid. There's so many people are afraid of losing someone or being alone, and what I always tell them is that you know what, you can't lose the right person. You can't.
That's so true.
You can't lose the right person.
And
you can
also
go through hard stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
It's
leave the space open for the right one to come along.
I mean
all good.
that too.
Seriously.
It's perfect. It's I don't even know how to word it. It's if you do that and you have to lose them, it would probably be better to lose the wrong person.
Amen.
And to find the right one,
Amen.
because
Amen.
if you just continue on this
singles.
fakey, slippery, sketchy kind of eggshell
Manipulative.
relationship, those are so disgusting. I've been in some of those, and
Yep.
you're just it's one drama after another, and you're just okay, well, I don't know what we're going to be today.
Yeah.
You know,
not
like that's
healthy.
not fun for anybody.
No.
Even the person who thinks they have this false sense of power.
That's right.
They're in just as much pain and despair
right.
about it as you are, but they're like
That's right.
think they're in control of it, and it's such a inverted sense of love, you know.
And reality.
Yeah.
So that was excellent, Mingo. It's
Yeah.
true. I know. Yeah. What's the other one?
All right, let's see what we got.
It was short.
I
and
think we
sweet.
have 3 of them, yeah.
Let's see what are we doing on time wise?
We're at about 55 minutes, so we can maybe answer one, maybe
okay.
2.
Okay, we'll see.
So number 2 here, this one says, my wife is constantly trying to put words in my mouth, so I say what she wants to hear. I don't appreciate being given a script! ! How can we get past this and be real with our issues? ?
Okay.
Question mark.
I'm learning to hear this a lot. Here's the deal. Shoot, I have no idea who this is, and I'm not. Okay. So she's trying to put words in your mouth. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mingo.
Yep, put words in his mouth,
She's
and then
trying
he
to put-
says what she wants to hear.
Okay. What is wrong with you saying what she wants to hear? What she wants to hear. She's giving you the password
Yeah, okay.
to happiness. She's giving you the code to unlock the safe.
Uh-huh.
She's saying, here's what I want to hear. Here's what would have been better if you would have said this. It's not shame you, bad guy you. That's how you will receive it if you carry shame, if you come from shame. But if she's saying to you, hey, when you said this, it really hurt me, or it really scared me, or it really upset me, and really what I wish you would have said, or here's what you should have said, or I would have liked for you to have said. Honestly, when you are really feeling strong and healthy and confident within yourself, you're just going to be like taking notes. It's like, really? Okay, so you would have wanted me to say, I really think you're beautiful, and I really noticed this, and I actually, really, she is truly just giving you the passcode. Now, her delivery may not be perfect, and that's something that can be worked on. But it's not bad when she's telling you. And I'll say this to my couples that I'm working with. Let them know, let your partner know what you aren't getting and you aren't receiving that you're needing. Like, regardless of whether or not it's fair, whether or not they're in agreement with it, it's still, you are valuable, your needs are valuable, your wants are valuable, and there's a message and there's a story behind each of your needs and wants, and they're not to be judged. They're to be, again, curious about, so that we can meet in the middle, find healing, and then eventually have love, and eventually really use that for intimacy, spiritual intimacy, physical intimacy, true connection. So again, so many of these things that come out as being so uncomfortable or disconnected are really just all gifts and opportunities to use for healing and connection. So read the question, please, one more time.
Well, because I was going to kind of comment, because he's, after he says what she wants to hear.
Yeah.
He doesn't appreciate being given a script. So sort of like she's just telling him what to say.
Yeah, we need their script.
And he wants to get past this so they can have the real issue. So it could be one or two things, like maybe he's being too defensive and he's taking it as a personal attack.
Yes, you are.
You
are.
And like you said,
okay.
maybe her delivery is a little too aggressive and attacky, so he feels attacked, and then they meet in that, confrontational space.
Yep. And yet again, even though that could be 100% correct, and she could be coming off in a really offensive way, like truly anyone would hear it and say, yeah, she's really offensive, or she's being really rude, or she's attacking him.
Yep.
You need to be strong enough and confident enough and healthy enough and love yourself enough to be able to, as I said, sit back and just kind of like things are boomeranging, but yet you're still hearing, and watch and see where she's coming from and why. And then you can even respond back and say, hey, I love you. I totally hear you. I understand that you probably would like to hear me say this or do this. And I'm going to work on that. If you mean it and you love her, you will. You will care about what she says and what she needs, and you will work on it. Or you can say, not or, it could be and, you can say, is there space for me to share some thoughts and needs as well? It's not tit for tat. It's just like, hey, I hear that, and I want to do that for you. But at the same time, is there room for me to share some things? And in a healthy relationship, she should be able to say, yes, thank you for hearing me. And, instead of, well, we'll see if you care. I'm going to, no, like, just take it at face value. When you love someone, again, bring it to a higher level. It's an adult that you're with. You're an adult. You're with an adult, not a kid, even though the kid might be coming out at the moment. Within their behavior. But again, every relationship, every pain point is just an opportunity for healing.
Yeah.
That's all that it is. It's not as bad and as scary as we make it, unless
Yeah.
it's really abusive, like physically abusive. There's, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. But I mean, this question doesn't seem like there's a lot of like verbal or emotional abuse. It sounds like one person's crying out for help and the other person's like, well, hey, I'm not like that. I'm trying to help, but the conflict, I think, is that both sides are feeling jaded.
They're not feeling seen or heard.
Yeah.
They're not feeling
and
connected.
I think what's tricky about that too, from his perspective,
Yeah.
like I can see how it can be tough. Like if someone's telling you, hey, you're not doing these things that would make me feel good. It's so tricky to take the bigger man step and be like, oh, you're right. I have been being unloving with my thoughts or unwilling to listen or caring about what you're saying. I should do that more. That's so hard to own up to as a dude.
Yeah, but it's
in
so
general.
cool and sexy and hot.
I know, but it's like, so even today, my wife was upset because she watches the kid most of the time.
Yeah.
She wanted to go to the gym, and she has this thing where she, will sacrifice her own needs to take care of others.
Okay.
So like she wanted to go to the gym,
Yeah.
but she didn't because, she had to take the kid.
They don't have childcare?
Well, they do.
Okay.
But it's easier to not take him with because he was being really fussy. So she
Sure.
would probably get there and have like a 10, 15-minute workout because
Sure.
he wasn't going to have it.
Yeah,
So instead
yeah.
of asking me, because I would just be like, well, just bring him with. They got childcare
Yeah.
there, So she
Yeah.
just didn't even bring it up.
Okay.
Because she would know that that's what I would say. So she brought it up, and I was like, oh, so she was expressing her concern and her, not really anger, but like upset about the fact that, in this situation, she didn't say anything because she knows that I would just say, bring the kid with. I don't want to watch him. Just bring him to daycare.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in that moment, she brought that up, and I was like, oh. And I was silent. I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But I was trying to like own up to it in myself, so I could be
Okay.
like, oh, I need to like,
Yeah,
and
really?
and then today I watched the kid and she did her workout.
That's really good.
But it's even for me, like we have a good relationship. So even
Yeah.
in good relationships, I still find myself being kind of a bitch. I was being a bitch because I didn't want to like, oh, you're right. I should just watch the kid and let you have your personal
Yeah.
time because you give
Yeah.
me so much personal time. You take the kid majority of the time. So like, why
Yeah.
shouldn't I watch him for an hour so you can go do your own thing and not have to worry about it? Like.
That's beautiful.
So that's
good.
Yeah. So in regards to that, I can
Yeah.
see how that can be tough because
Yeah.
I feel like my wife and I are on pretty good speaking terms, but I still have moments where I'm like, oh,
Of course.
I have to own up to my own
Amen.
own
Always.
bullshit
Always.
and just man up and be kind, be good to my wife,
Amen to that.
Yeah, it's tough.
And there
It's
are
tough.
rewards and dividends. I will tell you when we do it on
Yep.
both sides.
Yep.
But and again, it's seeing into her and seeing her needs, recognizing her needs, and just because we don't agree with them always or understand them always, is sort of irrelevant. It's oftentimes.
Yep.
But what matters is how she feels and understanding that and supporting that. And I mean, unless it's like really crazy and it's really against
Yeah.
your value system.
Yep.
So, that was really good. Good
Yeah.
job.
Well, and I think the hard part too
Great
is maybe
example.
not taking it personal. Because like if she brings it up and she's upset about it, it's like, oh, I should just, it's all my fault. I could get all floppy about it and be super sassy and be like, oh, well, then I guess I just didn't do what I was supposed to do and, get all dramatic.
Right.
But that's not what it is. She's not saying that I didn't be a good dad or a husband.
Yeah, yeah.
She's saying I need help.
Amen.
Can you
Good
step
job.
in, So like,
yes.
so
yes.
that's where I was like,
this is a team. We got a kid. This is a
Yep.
team.
So that's where I was like really silent because I think right away my ego wanted to be like, well, then I guess I'm just not doing what I should be doing. That's what my ego wanted to say.
Isn't that interesting how quickly that happens?
Oh, it jumped
And
up.
for
It was
most people,
instant. It was
100%.
instant.
Yep. Dukes up.
So I was like, okay, I'm just not going to say anything because if I say something, I'm just going to be sassy and be a bitch. So I didn't say anything and I waited and then it was fine and then we were fine. Then she did her workout and I watched the kid and it was all fine.
And everyone's feeling good.
Yeah, everyone feels good.
Yeah.
So like it's,
Yeah,
it was a very,
dopamine is up now.
Yep, it was a very minor thing, but like it was just a good reference to the question because I feel like that was a perfect example of, I can see how that can be a struggle because even for myself, in a healthy relationship, it still comes up.
Of course it does, even for my husband and I.
Yep.
Like in general, we have a really good marriage and a really good friendship and relationship.
Yep.
And I mean, we had a little thing this morning that, honestly, this morning it lasted I think 5 minutes.
Okay.
10 years ago, it would have lasted 3 days.
Oh, sure. Yep.
The same stupid,
Yep, that's funny.
but yeah, we've been through a lot. We've grown a lot. We've matured a lot, and we love each other very, very much. And so we understand and see the pattern when it's starting again, and we're like, oh, yeah. No,
Yep.
we're not going there.
I think you just that's like a muscle you grow. You
is.
You pick up on like these little points, like, oh, and it's almost like a thing where sometimes you can just like laugh it off. You're like, okay.
Oh, right.
We're both being just little ego.
There you go. Laugh at yourself. Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm being stupid.
Amen. I love it.
Well, I think that's a good wrap right there, everybody.
Okay. We'll save the next one for next week.
Yeah, we got one more, but that's we might have a few more by then too. Who knows?
All right. Keep them coming, you guys.
Yeah, send us questions,
Thank you
please.
so much.
Thanks for joining us on the Love Happy Hour. Yeah.
Throw this back.
Glug, glug, glug.
Bye. Have a great week.
See ya.
Love you. Bye.